Hi and welcome to the Real You project. The reason for this is that obviously in unprecedented times right now. There's none of us, I don't think, that have been through anything like what we're experiencing right now. And I don't know if many of you know, but I certainly know that I've talked to a lot of people about the Real You project, and a lot of you know what it's about, but I haven't done the course. And in the past, we've always done the course on a one-to-one sort of seminar type basis, but I want to bring this online because I know that there's loads of you out there that are struggling with what's going on at the moment. And so what we've decided to do is bring the course that I do, the Real You Project seminar, we're going to bring it online. We've been beavering away really quite hard behind the scenes to produce the workbook that we do on the day so that you can download it and so that you can fill it in and you can see what all the content's about. We've got a huge amount to sort of go through. The talks are going to be roughly about sort of 30 minutes long. It doesn't mean you have to stay there at the screen and listen to me for 30 minutes. You'll be able to stop and restart. But like I say, the workbook's there. If you don't download the workbook, what I suggest you do is to get a notebook and pen. And once you've done that, then probably restart the video. I know that, like I say, the loads of you are struggling out there right now, and what I want to do is try and get this to take us an opportunity to reset and rethink. I'm massively my biggest sort of thing is that we tend to work a lot and think about a lot of the external, and no way do we, not enough time spent on the internal. And it's the internal where we need to do the work, especially, let's say, at this moment in time where things are sort of more difficult for us. I mean, the good thing is that we're not, unless you're going out for a walk or something like that, you're not actually thinking too much about the external. You're spending a lot of time with your mind, your other you probably, and you're having conversations with you. Especially if you're in lockdown and you're a single person and you're not getting a chance to speak to anybody apart from maybe the odd sort of Skype and the odd Zoom that's become very popular right now. But, spending a lot of time with your own mind, depending on how that your mind serves you, you could be giving yourself quite a hard time right now or getting yourself in quite a pickle. And this is why we want to do the Real You project, is to give you that chance to reset and get the chance to really know the real you, so that when this is over, that you'll be able to go back into society, into the sort of, let's call it the normal, whatever that's going to be sort of going on. But I want you to go back there more resilient. I want you to go back into the society with a better way of thinking of how to do the life that you want to do. So we want you to have better relationships, better working relationships. I mean, interestingly, I don't know how you're getting on with the people that you're locked down with, but there'll be a lot of things going on with kids, family, husbands, wives, all those sort of things. So relationships, it's incredibly important that we have good, healthy relationships. And that's including your work. I mean, your work, sort of like most of the time, it's 7 or 8 hours a day. It's 5 days a week, let's say. So it's an awful lot of time that you spend in work. So think about that. Think about your relationships. This is what we want to sort of like deal with. I believe at the moment there's an awful lot of the people out there that are starting to sleepwalk into the end, like into death. We're sleepwalking, doing life, and I think sort of like we need to wake up. One of my sort of core values is awareness, and I really want part of this is to wake you up as a person. There's so much stress, anxiety, depression, and all those things out there, and it's really strange because if you think about it, and this is prior to lockdown, we've never had it in a sense so good. We've never had so much, and yet paradoxically there's more depression, there's more anxiety. So that has to make some sense in the fact that we are spending way too much time, like I say, on the external and nowhere near enough on the internal. So that's what we're going to be spending all of this course really about, is if you get your internal right, then you'll be able to enjoy the external. I think we're just getting it the wrong way around at the moment. We're focusing way much on the external. the things that we're buying. So it's always things, the next thing, and I'll be happy when. But we just got to be starting to think about, actually, I need to get myself right. So that's what it's all about. So why would I be thinking that I've got anything to offer in all of this? And where's my sort of what qualifies me, let's say. So my background, if you don't know, I've done hairdressing for about 35 plus years. It's given me the opportunity to spend a huge amount of time close to people. You can imagine sort of over many months and many years, and some of my clients have lasted with me, I don't know how, 25 plus years. So I've seen sort of kids grow from infants to getting married. I've seen people in their sort of 30s that are now in their 50s, some still with their partners, many divorced, and all that. So I've seen huge amounts of change in people or their circumstances. What I would say in all of that, I don't know how many of them can honestly say are actually or have enjoyed or enjoying their life. And is it what they thought it was going to be? So I've had a huge amount of time to spend with clients. So I've got to know, huge amounts of staff as well. So what qualifies me, I know, and I have got to know people. In all of that as well is that I've had massive opportunities to go on courses that have been based on management courses, really, and leadership. And there's been some huge amounts of great content in there. But what I always struggled with was why did I go on a course and think, wow, that was fantastic. And then 2 days later or a week later or a month later thinking, what was that fantastic course all about? And actually, did it lead to any change? I mean, yes, little bits, but when on the day of the course itself, I was like, wow, this is amazing, this is fantastic, everybody needs to know this. And then I'd get back and it was a struggle trying to get other people to take on board what I'd learned, and I would struggle with what I'd learned. Like I said, a week later, it would be back to sort of normal. So in the last sort of 7 years, I've been really delving into how the mind and mindsets work and what they do. And in a nutshell, what I can bring it down to is all of that learning is that we tell ourselves a story. We've got a narrative that's going on in our minds and in our heads, and we're listening to the narrative that we're telling ourselves. I don't know if you really understand that we actually have a double side of us. We have a shadow of ourselves, or another me, another you, the one that you talk to when you're on your own. And I don't mean talking out loud, although you might do. I mean the narrative that you've been told about you and the one that you tell yourself. I believe to do life, you've got to look at it like a story, and a good book and a good story needs to have a good beginning, a middle, and an end. And some of us haven't had that great good beginning, and some of us are doing our middle life, let's say, with some real bad baggage and with some bad storytelling. And then we're getting towards the end and the last sort of few pages and thinking, is this really panning out how I wanted it to? So I'm really concerned on your story, the one that you're telling yourself. And what I would say to that is maybe just put a pause on that. Maybe think about the reset. Maybe think about how you can rewrite that book. What I would say in all of this is start to become your author of your book. Be a good storyteller. I just think there's too many times that we hand over our story to somebody else to write our story for us. I mean, how crazy is that, would you say? That you let other people tell you your story. So I'm going to really want you to sort of think about how we can rewrite that narrative. So we need to prepare good ground. We need to prepare good soil so that we can grow. And I've done some posts on this before, and I'd really love it if you could take some time out, and I'll repost these very shortly, or maybe even before this comes out, is that we need to prepare good soil and think about things all the time in 3 to 6 months' time. If you plant good seed right now, today, reset, and you're prepared to put in good soil and start nurturing your ground, think what could happen in 3 months and 6 months' time. Think about taking this opportunity to be behind the scenes and be some time with yourself and start to really get to know you and prepare well. Get some good soil, guys, and then start to see something amazing grow in 3 to 6 months' time. Say, look at that post and see what it's about. So what I would say is everything that we're going to do now is, instead of having a distracted life, I want you to be intentional, okay? So that's the kind of like the start of it. So what about the real you? On your workbook, you'll see some words out there, and it's in the middle of it, it's got the word coach. And I want you just to sort of fill in on what it is that we're trying to achieve there, and what does the Real You project stand for. In there, we've got the word coach, and then we're going to fill in some words so that go through that word cloud. So the first one would be its core. So right in there, the core. Your core values are in there. You've got them intrinsically in you. You've got something right in the middle of you, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail. But you will have a core value. So we're going to go through core values. It's your belief system. It's where your emotions sit. It's your drivers. So your core is very, very important. You think about what drives you. It's a very, very interesting. Purpose. I love purpose. I love having purpose. I think we all need purpose. I think one of the things that leads to depression, or one of the things that we struggle to get out of depression with, is not having enough purpose. Not having a meaning to our lives that gives us purpose. So we're going to talk hugely about sort of purpose and how we can find our own purpose. Awareness is in there. So, like I say, it's a core value of mine. I'm big on awareness. If anybody's around me anytime and gets to know me sort of well, is that it's a strange one. Awareness is it's funny how you can see, just like at the moment, obviously we're like in this 2 meter distance sort of thing, and then you go into a supermarket and somebody doesn't do what you would like them to do. Before the lockdown, I think it was worse, wasn't it? In the fact that people would just leave shopping trolleys in front of an area where you wanted to get your food from. And it was just weird. It's like, can't you just see that other people need to either get past that, or you're just right in the way? And it's just lack of awareness, isn't it? I think also we have blind spots, which we're going to talk about. And we're all like, can't you see this? But, to be fair to them, no, they can't. I don't know if you've ever been close to having an accident and where you've just pulled out on somebody and they can see your car from miles behind, but you just have a blind spot and you've pulled out and you're like, how did that happen? I don't know. So awareness is massive. Change. Interestingly, with change, it's I think we all want to change, but I think we all struggle to change, and we don't know how. And I know that some people, when I say the word change, you're even like, "Nah, I'm all right." Well, that's fine. That's okay if you want to stay, let's say, possibly stuck. But I think the world moves in a rotation, doesn't it? I think movement is in our DNA, and I think if we're not moving towards change, then I think again we get stuck. Then I think we lose meaning and purpose. So you can see quite quickly on how that unravels. So I think change, I would see change more in thinking about how we can learn to do life better. And if that was just one thing. So what I teach quite often is change usually happens in a couple of ways. Very, very quickly, change can happen when the fire comes under your ass. It's funny how we suddenly move, isn't it? Suddenly how our perspective needs to change. What I would say is like, don't wait always for those moments. I think we need a wake up. I think this time we're in lockdown and stuff is making us wake up. You probably wouldn't be listening to this if you haven't already stopped. You probably wouldn't be listening to this if it wasn't in a time of that that I need to have something else in my life. So this is really sort of like waking us up, this being around with ourselves. So don't wait for something massive to happen. I do believe at times that we need to see what what is happening that's painful in our lives that is there to wake us up. I think you can use pain. I think, and we'll talk about this later on, but I think you can use pain in a very positive way. But don't wait for it. I would say to you, if you want to see change, then what I would do teach is change often by a small 1%. Always be thinking about how can I do things better by 1%. It's a way of cheating the brain, because two things happen with the brain. It either is the fight or flight. So this time at the moment we're in this really sort of heightened state. A nervous system is on alert. You know, like say you go into a supermarket and you're kind of super alert, where we weren't before. So change can happen massively by fight and flight and fear and that sort of freeze. So, but if you don't want to have to be kind of like into that mode, then the other way to cheat the brain is to do things by small increments, and it just doesn't notice. So it doesn't have a resistance, it doesn't do the fight. So if you want to lose weight or you want to start going to the gym, think about it in small increments first off and just form a new habit. Moving on to the last word in our word cloud, and that's happiness. I think the problem is with the word happiness these days is it's bandied around a little bit sort of too much, and it's a bit flippant, and it's all kind of like, oh, let's just be happy, which is all lovely and fine, but I don't find lots of people very happy. I think what we've got to understand is happiness is a now moment. It gets confused very much with I'll be happy when. Now, the problem is with when I'll be happy when is that we're always waiting to be happy and we're not living for the now. And the happiness goal, I'll be happy when, can always change. Because obviously when you get there, quite often we don't actually realise we are actually happy when we've got there. But then we'll set another sort of goal. So let's say you said, I'll be happy when I earn £40,000 a year. And you get to earn £40,000 a year, but your expenses and outgoings have gone up sort of hugely, and then it's struggling on 40,000, and it's like, I'll be happy when I got £50,000 a year, or I'll be happy when I get married, or I'll be happy when we've got children. They're all sort of fine, but like I say, that they're goals that, well, they're more of a goal rather than a happiness chart. Let's put it that way. So what I would like you to think about more is in the happiness sort of realm, and what I talk about, and it wouldn't sell the course so much, so that's why it's not in the World Club. But I would sort of feature more on contentment, and this is what this course is all about: is more how to be more content with the ups and downs of life. When we're in the seminar room, I would draw a squiggly line sort of right now to sort of like describe life, but basically, as you could see, that it'd be kind of that's how life is. I think a lot of people feel that life tends to have more downs than the ups, and what I would like for you to know is to see and be aware of the up, but the downs to be kind of a lot less down, and you're out of them much quicker. So for me, the whole thing about sort of like happiness is it's a now moment. So it's like I am happy, and today that was really good, and it was a really good day. But don't sort of put it too far in the future. And so, like I say, this whole part of happiness you will be a happier person, a more contented person once finishing this course. We've talked about sort of like the middle part of this. I need to talk through you what these are. The talks are going to be involved in, so the content basically. So we've talked about so far the sort of like, you know, what the course is or why now. So we've talked about sort of why now. We've talked about the Real You project and what it is, and the word cloud and the essence of that. And I just believe that massively we don't know ourselves very well, and I don't believe we are a true version of ourselves. We're very much a copied Facebook, Instagrammed version, which I don't know if is serving you particularly well. So we've covered sort of like the Real You, what the Real You is about. We're going to go into the makeup of you and how you are as a person, as a very quick basic insight of how the human person is. Beginner's mind is what we're going to cover today, and mindfulness coffee. Mindfulness is massively out there at the moment, isn't it? And there'll be a short video that you'll be able to click a link to, and that'll be on why we should even be learning. It's great. It's a guy called Jay Shetty. You might have heard of him. Love him. He's very inspirational, really inspirational sort of talker. Talk 2 is going to be the massive subject on about that other person, that shadow self, the other you. I don't know if everybody remember or you ever really taken notice of when people sort of say, yeah, but how are you? How are you in yourself? There's a reason why people say that. So we have got this other version of you, and we'll talk about that massively. Talk 2 for me is my sort of it's my area. I love it. It's just something that really, gets me excited. It's a social self versus essential self, conscious or unconscious, and your limiting beliefs. Talk 3 is going to be SWOT analysis, life purpose, an internal beauty, which is kind of like where your gift, we're going to be talking about where your gift is sat. Your core values, which we've mentioned, and we're going to there's a thought video, another one from Jay Shetty, and you can see a link going on there. Talk 4 is going to be more about your purpose. So it's going to be what we're doing for the first bit is, like I say, is preparing the ground. So stay with me on this. This is going to be as long as short as you want it to be. But if you stay with this over weeks and months, and I'll be doing all this, you'll be able to interact. I'll hopefully be doing some live question and answers sort of things, so we can do that as well. But yeah, stay with it. So life purpose. So we're going to set the seed, and then we're going to want to sort of like do the internal work to be thinking about how we start doing external sort of like better. We're going to be talking about goals, dreams, aspirations. So all of that and how we move forward. So I'm excited about this. I hope you are too. So let's sort of move on to the next bit. We're going to have there's a disclaimer in there that I need to just write. And if you've got the workbook, you'll see what this says. But this is an intro into change, like I say. So I want you to be present. I want you to be really sort of thoughtful. If you drift off in your mind, let's say, don't worry about that, but just bring yourself back and then restart it, maybe even restart the video, but try and be as present as you can. What I would say in the top of your sort of workbook, we'll talk about in the beginner's mind, is that there really is a mindset. So let's see how your mindset goes towards working in this, but so be present. The role of a coach is to coach and identify strengths and weaknesses, but it's up to you to put the effort in. I think what we need to do is be ready to practice to do life well. So learn and then practice and learn, and then put into practice what you learn. I know that's kind of a bit waffly, but it's in there. But it's so true. I think the best people that we can look at that we really take notice of is the people that they've practiced really well, and then when they do something, it looks really easy. It looks natural, but boy, you probably haven't seen the practicing. Great singers, great guitarists, great footballers, great anything. Look at what they do in practice, and practice does make sort of perfect. So be prepared to learn and then put it into practice. One thing I would say to you that there at the end of that is, please don't do something all of the time that doesn't serve you. Don't repeat what doesn't work. I see this so often, and especially in relationships where people kind of like, they want them to change, and they're sort of like saying, why can't you sort of do this? And you're like, well, if you're struggling to get somebody to do something that you want them to do, what all you're doing is repeating what doesn't work. They didn't listen to you. They didn't change. So why not go at it at a different angle? So that's what we're going to sort of try and sort of think about doing. I do an analogy on a fly hitting a window. If you'll see a fly keeps wanting to get to the green grass, it's inside and it wants to get outside, and it sees the green grass and it just keeps hitting the window. It sometimes even takes a longer run up and goes really flying at it, and then sort of like jolts to the window. And it's not until we move it and we open a window and we shoosh it around in other ways for it to fly out. And basically what I'm saying is, like, change your angle. If something that you're doing doesn't work repeatedly, change your angle, change your thought pattern. Otherwise, you're just going to keep hitting that flipping window hard. So the first thing in your workbook, in your sort of page 3, is you'll have a picture of a skeleton. I think these are good images to have in your mind when you're doing your daily work and doing your daily thing, is that we need to be thinking about what that skeleton is and what does it do. And basically, in its very essence, it keeps you upright. It keeps everything sort of like together. You know, without the skeleton, without that solid ground, without that basis, we will just fall over, wouldn't we? We'd just be a sack of skin, wouldn't we? Like that. So think about what is it that you stand on? Your values, your value system. Don't be hunched over. Don't be weak in this. Stand up and stand proud of what it is that you want to fight for, what you want to live for, what you want your family to sort of like, you know, do we want to sit round the table all together to have dinner? Is that a value of ours? And if that is of an intrinsic value of yours, don't let it go. So what do you stand on? We all will stand on something. The next thing there would be is that we've got an image of a foot and a muscle. And I think sort of, again, we tend to not exercise our mind muscle enough. What would happen if you were lying in bed, if you had a long-term illness, sickness, and you just didn't exercise at all? We all know that very quickly we get muscle wastage. And so for muscle to work, it needs exercising. And on the top of the muscle, on the outside of the muscle, there's also something called sinew, which is something that keeps everything together. And I believe that if you don't exercise your mind muscle, then things fall apart pretty rapidly. So it keeps it all together. So think about that. Then we got a picture. It's actually of my good lady wife, Lara. And it's just basically a picture of a human being. It's a picture of the external. And what I wanted to sort of say there is that every one of us is unique. You think about it, it's like even twins. We've got one of the girls that works with us, and she's got two twins. She's got twins, and they are absolutely gorgeous. And to us, they look very similar, but to her, I know that they look very, very differently. And even if they look similar, which we could look like somebody else, but we don't want to be a copy version. You know, if you asked her, she can identify those two being very different. And that's really cool. You know, we're unique. It's one of the things that I struggle with when we, as companies, people put people into uniforms. As soon as you put somebody into a uniform, some people look really good in that and some people, let's say, just don't. And it doesn't give you a chance to show your uniqueness off. And I believe that a lot of things out there, we're being uniformed. We're losing our uniqueness. We're blending into each other, morphing into each other. It's not good, guys. It really isn't. You've definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, there's something that the world needs from you. You might be sitting there thinking at the moment that, I don't know what that is. I don't think the world does need me. I just would beg to differ. You will have a unique gift. You are unique. You're special. You were made for something purposeful and meaningful. So come on this journey and find out what that is. It's important that you become the real you, the real version of yourself. So let's go into beginner's mind. It's important that we start with, like I say, sort of a new mindset. So in your workbook there, you'll have on the top right, you've got two, well, little sort of like cartoon type thing. And I'm just going to get that up. So just to show that exactly what it says. But basically it says like, I know how this works. And the other one says, I wonder how this works. And I want you to go into this with a mindset of, I wonder what it is that I'm going to sort of like taking you through. I wonder what that is. I would really not like it if you already have decided that you think that you know everything. There's nothing worse in a sense of you thinking you're the smartest person in the room, because if you are, then you're in the wrong room. I believe you need to be in a room with somebody, always somebody that knows something more than you. Otherwise, personally, I don't think if you're not learning, you're not breathing. And if you're not breathing, you might as well pack it in. So let's start with a fresh mindset, an open mindset. And let's think about how we can do this sort of better. What I would say is with all of this is like, you know, distraction sort of sits out there quite heavily. And I think sort of you think about Monday morning, you think, right, I'm gonna have a good week this week. And then you get to Friday and you think, what the flipping hell happened there? I've not done anything that I intended to do for me, let's say. So we need to learn not to be so distracted. We need to learn how to sort of how to do it sort of life sort of better. So this is all about kind of like beginner's mind is about claiming your life back. I want you to start thinking about how you can see things through new eyes, new mindset. So we're first off going to talk about sort of meditation. Now, before you switch off the screen and you're like, well, meditation's not for me, please just hang fire. There's all sorts of different types of meditation. I've got a good friend of mine that's going to do a talk, and we're going to do an interview on meditation. Plus, we're also going to get, or she's going to have a sort of 5-10 minute meditation practice that you can sit and listen to. There's loads of stuff out there. I'm also going to, in your resources pack, there's going to be a link to a monk from Mind Valley. I don't know if you've heard of Mind Valley. Really, really good organisation, doing flipping amazing things out there. But there's a monk that talks about it and what he says about sort of meditation. There's a big kind of myth about meditation, about the fact that you're supposed to just think of nothing and you're supposed to get to this point of thinking of nothing. You're not going to do that, and you're not going to do it easily. The great thing about meditation is actually being alone with your own thoughts and recognizing what they are. And if you get practiced good at doing that, you will start to, basically what meditation is about is defragging the mental side of you. Think about the crap that's on your computer and think about if you don't defrag it, if you don't clean it up, let's say, it starts to work very, very clunky. And at times, when you want an update, it can't actually fit in an update. It can't do very well because it's too full of stuff, full of crap. So meditation, don't diss it, guys. If you diss it, you'll do yourself a disservice. We are wired at times to have to defrag this mind. We're getting more information sent to us from so many different ways that we're getting mindfully overloaded. No two ways about it. I know when I'm saying this, you know that too. You know that you're getting overloaded with just a lot of information, a lot of poor information. So defrag, and it only takes you 10 minutes a day. So don't diss it. Don't just think, oh, I know about meditation and it's not for me. Like I said, there's loads of different types of meditation. I want you to just sort of think for a second of just going, and all of a sudden you've just thought about your breath. How good are we without breath? You know, we're extinct if we don't breathe. So learning how to breathe, to recognizing breath and recognizing our thoughts and getting a way to let things go is incredibly important. We let things go and then we can replace it with better things. We can replace it with a better mindset, a better mind frame. So meditation, guys, massively, massively important. So go and resource this. If you think of things like that, I'll quickly very people on this will go, I haven't got time to do all this. Well, I would say get up a little bit earlier. Go to bed a little bit earlier. Get up when the sun rises. Go and sit on a hill for a second. Go and just think. Go and just breathe. You can use meditation in exercise. You know, start to think about how the weights are, the resistance when you're running, when you're breathing. You can use meditation in so many different places. That's called sort of movement meditation. So it doesn't mean just sitting there with your legs crossed going hum. Right? There's loads of different stuff in there. And like I said, we're going to do a talk on meditation. So Anna and I are going to do an interview. So please watch that. It's incredibly important. Download the one from the guy that talks from the monk. It's from Mind Valley. Really important you get that. But meditation, don't diss it. It's basically you want to turn off the tap. All this information that's coming in, turn it off. So put your phone away, unless you're using an app for meditation. But you know what I mean? Just got to find time to quieten this mind down and turn off the information turn off that tap. Okay. What I want you to do next is to think about other things that you can do in all this to wake you up and to get into a different mindset. How about have a shower, and when you get to the end of your shower, start putting it on a colder until see how cold you can get it. It wakes you up. It gets your immune system going. It's actually proven as well to help with depression. So these things are not out there. I'm not randomly just going like, oh yeah, do this. They're scientifically proven. Meditation, going for cold, exposing yourself to coldness or heat. It just changes your mind, and it gets your immune system and nervous system sort of kicking in. So I love, it sounds really strange, but I love a shower anyway. And I when I first started to do the cold bit, I was like, really? Why would you want a cold shower? And I thought at first that I had to have the shower cold from beginning to end, and I don't. I enjoy the first bit, to do the washing, that's fine. But at the end, just start to turn it as cold as you can basically stand it, and stand it for about a minute at the end, or if longer, and it just wakes you up. So what I want to do now is to start thinking about, how we can start thinking about our mind changes, and how we can start sort of recognizing that we to be more conscious. So on your workbook day, at the bottom sort of left, you'll have a place where you can do what I want you to do. I want you to sign your name without any thinking. Just sign it with the hand that you sign it with, and just do your signature. I'll give you a second to sort of do that. So sign that away. And then what I want you to do is to do it with your opposite hand. So if you obviously sign it with your right hand, sign your name, or try to sign your name with your opposite hand, and then just see how you get on. It usually takes, at least 3 or 4 times of length of time to actually do it with your opposite hand. And I want you to rethink about when you did it with your signature hand, let's say, you didn't have to think, did you? It was just like, done. When you did it with the opposite hand, how did you have to think about that? This is what we're leading into, is about being more mindful. You'll have heard lots talking about mindfulness out there. It's another way of defragging. It's another way of opening yourself to new possibilities. So mindfulness is just an amazing, amazing tool. Don't, again, diss that. We need to stop. We need to turn this tap off, like I said. We need to sort of just put this, I've got to put ears on here. I've just got to stop letting me do just things on autopilot. If you keep doing your life on autopilot, you'll end up somewhere which you never intended to go or be. So switch yourselves onto this, guys. So meditate and think of mindfulness. You just witnessed yourself being more conscious just for 2 seconds, just by signing your name, seeing how much more effort that had to be. But you woke up just for that second. You didn't do it by habit. You did the first bit by habit, and that was easy. Your brain needs to have habitual stuff, but there's a ton of stuff that you do habitually that doesn't work for you. So mindfulness, where can you practice it? Really simply, brush your teeth. When you're brushing your teeth, think about the angles that you're using the brush at. Think about when you turn the water on, how much pressure did you put on? Think about, should I turn the tap off in between sort of brushing to save the planet some water? Where the gym that I go to, or did when we were in lockdown, there's people that shave and people that clean their teeth and do stuff, and the water's on full tap. And I'm standing there thinking, why does that really bother me? It literally does bug me. And in all of this, well, in case I forget to say, it's like I am not the same person I was years ago, and I like that. But one of the things that I don't like, in a sense of being more aware, is that the one small emotion I think that I have about anything is frustration. And I just get frustrated in the fact that you're just not awake, that unaware you're just pouring water down the sink. And it's not just an ethical thing, although it is. And it's not just that, it's like you're just not even thinking. And so think about the water that goes down the sink, think about the pressure, think about the temperature of that. Think about how long you're doing it for. Do you need to sort of do it? Could it be quicker? How much toothpaste did you put on the brush? There's loads of stuff. Go and make a coffee. We're going to talk about that in a second. But, think about how you make a coffee. When you go into your car, we've got into this now. Most of us have got a remote, an opener thing that sort of like you just press a button and it opens up and you pull the handle, you get in. Even now, I don't even have to put a key in anything. Now it just sits there, and and it's just so flipping automatic, and it's so flipping easy. But these things that are making life easy, we get distracted about kind of what is meaningful to us and what's important. So what all this is doing is about taking your life back, being more conscious so that you can do life more intentional. Wouldn't you like to get to where you set out to be? If you don't get more intentional, you'll do it habitually, you'll sleepwalk into death. Your choice. So we're coming to the end of this session. So what I want you to do is to, again, you'll have this in your notebook. Your homework is that I want you to meditate. I want you to be more mindful. I want you to look for affirmations. Incredibly important to start your day off with. Look for something you're grateful for. If you don't do it when you first wake up, then try and do it in the first maybe half an hour to an hour of when you're awake, because this sets you up for the day. If you've already thought, you know what, I'm just glad that I've woken up. Cool. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for a really comfortable bed. I'm grateful if I've had a good night's sleep. I'm grateful that I can afford a coffee or a cup of tea or whatever it is. I'm grateful for my car. It gets me from A to B. I'm grateful from where we live. And if I forget to say this as well, it's like where this comes in is like, this is local, guys. This is something that we live in the Conway borough. It might go further than that, but I don't think it will. But when I look at other stuff around this sort of area of thinking, I'm always thinking, well, that's all right if you live in America, or that's all right if you live wherever. But this is Conway, this is the borough of, this is our area. We live, and especially, I don't know why the weather's been so fantastic in lockdown, but thank goodness for it. It's been probably a godsend for a lot of parents and people out there. But it's given us a great chance to be mindful, hasn't it? It's given us a great chance to hopefully be grateful. If you've kind of just put to one side the stay safe sort of, disaster of the virus, but then sort of think, well, yeah, but I could have been doing this in a much worse situation. I've got a beach, I've got a mountain, we've got so much stuff. So be grateful. How do you see a traffic light when you get to a traffic light? I know this is why I've just gone off on a tangent, but it's important this because it's part of our mindfulness. Do you see a traffic light as stopping you and being a pain in the ass, let's say, or can you see a traffic light as an opportunity to defrag? Just to think about what I need to do today. Not about what it stops you, it's what opportunity that you've got. We've got a set of traffic lights at the moment in Rows-on-Sea, and I love it. It doesn't stay unstopped for long enough at the moment. It'd be different if there was a lot more traffic, I suppose, but I get to sit and look at the sea and the boats that are there. I love water and I love boats, and I get to see and look at that, and I kind of think, how grateful am I? How wonderful is this? I'm able-bodied. People take that for granted, don't we? So what I would say is go and get yourself a coffee. Go and be mindful while you're making that coffee. Look at your homework book. We're going to be looking to be grateful. We're going to be looking into, there's something there I want you to start journaling. So meditate when you can. You can do that any time of the day. You can do it at night time as well. And if you're sort of somebody of faith, you can, meditate in prayer is equally as good. So meditate, think about that sort of stuff. Get mindful. get grateful, practice gratitude, and find a place to journal. Journal your day, journal what you've done that day. I would say also be intentional, so have a to-do list. A to-do list will get you a lot more intentional, and especially when you look at your to-do list and see how little you did or didn't do on it. That would be sort of really cool if you looked at that and did that. That's a daily worksheet that you can do. I've got again, I'll put a link on it. I've got what's called an impact planner. It's basically like a diary, but it's got some other bits to it. So it says where to be grateful, a note, a to-do list, and at the end of it, it's got a section for journaling, and I've found it absolutely brilliant. Journaling, again, is a way of defragging. It's also a way of seeing what you did intentional that day. And if you'll have done more than you thought you'd done. And if you journal it, you'll realise that you're probably better at things than you thought, and you probably did more than you thought you had. So journaling, it's great. It's something, do you know what? I actually, it frightened the crap out of me, if I'm honest. I was like, oh, really? I'm not a writer, and I've got nothing good to say. And the space that I have for the journaling bit is actually not big enough. It's really interesting how I can write and write and write for the things that I've done that day. So it's been a real eye opener for me, and I love that learning sort of process of it. And just lastly, there we've got a link to a video, the Jay Shetty one, on learning and the importance of learning. So click on that, watch that. Please look at that post that I did on planting seed and having good soil, good grounding. And I'm hoping and I'm desperate that you pick up on Talk 2. It's incredibly important to know about. Talk 2 is like I say, who are we listening to, and who do we talk to? Your other self. And if you don't grasp this next bit, then you'll always struggle with a belief system that probably doesn't fit you. So I want your belief system to be one that works, it's healthy, that's intentional, that you really actually like you, and you're so like into like being the best version of you. Then if you're into helping others, if you are healthy yourself, then there's a saying, Paul Scanlon sort of did this. I love him and love his work if you want to check him out. But the greatest gift I can give to you is a healthy me. So I'm going to sign off there, watch the Learn video, get some homework done, and I'll speak to you sometime soon. So download even the workbook. And yeah, let's get intentional, guys. Love you lots, and share this with people. There's people that you will know that need this stuff. And this has just been an intro into what we're going to be doing at the Real You Project. You guys take care. Love you lots. All right.